getting down to the nitty-gritty. You have found a house that you're interested in, probably, or you're just looking for some education here on this video, but you found a house that you're interested in, and now you're getting ready to make your offer to the seller, but what do you make that offer? Well, here's what's going to happen. You want to make sure that that house would actually appraise or comp out at basically what other homes around it are going for in the area. So you don't want to be overpaying for a house. So one thing that you should definitely be doing is that your rent-to-own specialist should be supplying to you comps. Now, comps are actually comparable homes in the area that basically will go ahead and say what other homes in that area are being sold for, what they're active for, and everything. So that's exactly what comps are going to be. So what do you come up with your offer price? So I can tell you this, that you don't want to overpay, so you do want to go ahead and look at those comps to make sure that you're not overpaying. But there's also, you got to take into consideration too. So the seller is really not going to, now chances are they're not going to take too much money off, if any, of the purchase price whenever they're doing a rent-to-own, because they're taking a big risk. They're taking a big risk unless you're putting a lot of money down on this rent-to-own home. So they're taking a big risk on this. So most of the time, guys, they really don't budge off their price hardly any. And nor really should they, is because they're taking such a big risk and either giving you a second chance or they're giving you a chance to go ahead and buy this, and they're taking the risk of holding the paper, I guess you'd say, or holding the loan and making payments to you. They're taking that risk for a year, 3 months to a year to 2 years to 3 years. So really, they don't come off that offer price too much. But the main thing, or that purchase price too much, but the main thing that you really want to focus on is those comparables that you get from your rent-to-own specialist to make sure that you're not overpaying for that home. So if homes are actually going, if the asking price from the seller is $100,000, and homes in that area are going for the comparable homes that are being sold, are actually being sold for $85,000, chances are that whenever you go and buy that house, it's not going to appraise anyways, so that's probably not a good deal worth pursuing. So you might want to go ahead and offer that seller less. But really what you're going to have to do on the rent-to-own is chances are you're going to be paying market value for those homes, because the seller is taking so much of a risk on that. Unless you get a seller that you get a great deal on, which does happen, and it happens a lot. So, but that's kind of the rule of thumb, is that they don't really take too much off the price, but you do want to go ahead and look at those comparable homes to go ahead and check that you are actually going ahead and getting a home that is going to be worth, whenever you go ahead and buy it, worth whatever your purchase price is. So another way that you can do it is you can actually look up on Trulia.com. That's Trulia.com. And you'll just have to type in the address and everything, and then basically it'll go ahead and show you the comparables there. But you really want to trust it from your rent-to-own specialist, because really watch, they're going to actually pull it from what's called the MLS, and that is actually homes that are being sold in that area. You really got to watch websites like Zillow.com and Trulia.com. Trulia is probably the best out of all those. Because they might inflate those prices a little bit, because they're not as accurate as what you're going to get from that rent-to-own specialist, because they're pulling it straight from what's called the MLS, and that's exactly where you need it from. So go ahead and look at those comparables, and your rent-to-own specialist will go ahead and help you come up with that offer price. But honestly, on a rent-to-own, don't expect the sellers to go ahead, and unless it's just really overpriced, don't expect them to come off that offer price too much, because they probably won't do it. So that's just the brutal truth of it. So, that's what it is. So if you have any questions, go ahead and get in contact with your rent-to-own specialist, and we'll talk to you soon.